if I'm being honest, I'm
Mm-hmm.
concerned by this situation. Because the only way we get in trade talks, the only way they hang on to our phone call for more than 5 seconds, if we call about Giannis, is if Jaylen Brown's name is mentioned. I'm not trading Jaylen Brown. Like, what he's done for this team, like, he's not putting up Giannis numbers. He's not the talent Giannis is. But just, like, as a leader of this team, as a guy who's already won a finals MVP for us, as a guy we know fits with Jason Tatum, I just don't float his name out there. And I don't even think a straight up Jalen for Giannis gets it done.
No, it would
I
take
think
more
what's
for
much
sure.
more likely to happen is if we call the Bucks, it gets leaked out,
And
and
Jalen is
then
very
that
unhappy.
upsets
Yeah.
the locker room. Because that's
Yeah.
been something that every star that's been available, somehow Jalen's name gets thrown in there.
For his
So,
entire career.
entire career. So, if I'm Brad Stevens, I'm just putting blinders on. Maybe I call to be like, hey, is Bobby Portis or Miles Turner available? Like, maybe
Yeah.
get in on like some
Miles Turner would be great.
I think either of those guys would be great.
Yeah.
Um, Bobby Portis is at a lower number, so there's something a little more appealing about that. Miles Turner's the better player. Um, but like keep an eye on it in that way, but don't go all in for Giannis, would be my take.
Okay. So I'm gonna zag here. And this has been a thing for years that we've kind of talked about. My take has always been there are two guys in the league that I would trade Jaylen Brown for had they were they to ask out. Like this was years back. I was like, if Luca gets mad and wants out of Dallas, I would trade Jaylen Brown in a package for him. Well, that trade went very differently than anyone expected, and he didn't ask out, and it all went to hell anyway. But the other one was always Giannis, and I was like, Jaylen for Giannis is like they get a couple years. They get a couple years younger with Jaylen Brown. They get a Finals MVP, a guy who is showing that he can be a number one guy, um, and was like, yeah, it makes sense. I think the fit has always been really appealing. It's also just like, God, Giannis is one of my favorite players in the NBA to watch, just like talent wise, athleticism wise, the way that he can anchor a defense and support an offense. Like he can be a walking triple double just as well as pretty much any guy in the league outside of probably Jokic. I think he provides a whole lot of things that like I love Jaylen Brown. Jaylen Brown can't do a bunch of the things that Giannis can, and it is just kind of like which one on paper like sets Jason Tatum up in his return better for a championship, which one is at a position of need kind of more at this point in terms of like having size on the floor, in terms of having a defender that you can an elite defender that you can throw on opposing bigs. Yeah, I don't I actually I agree with you. I don't. Here's also part of it. Do I trust that Jaylen Brown isn't going to ask out someday? Because, and we've talked about this, he did almost request a trade already before from the Celtics. And I believe it was Tracy McGrady who talked him out of it at that
Yeah.
point. But he's mentioned before, like, oh yeah, it would be cool to like go home and play for Atlanta. Like, that's my hometown. Like, and it seems like again he's and through no fault of his own, but he's had kind of a fraught relationship with Boston by virtue of his name has been thrown into every single trade talk since he was drafted, basically. um so I don't blame him at all for having like a sour taste in his mouth about that. But it is just kind of like, man, I think Giannis is going to end up being like a top 10, 15 player of all time. I think he might already kind of be there, just talent wise. And it's tough to be like, I'm not interested at all. I do think you're right that like even picking up the phone on that will cause disharmony. And it's like, if you're taking that phone call, you better fucking make the deal.
Yeah, I don't worry too much about Jaylen Brown asking out at this point. I know he's talked this season about, conversations he had with Tracy McGrady before he signed his last contract with us, about how he kind of thought of Tracy McGrady's career as he needed to get out of Toronto to kind of become himself. And Tracy McGrady told him that he wished he had stayed with Vince. And if you have a chance to win, try to win. And if his frustration was that, he didn't really get a chance to explore his scoring, to be step up and be the leader of a team his first, 5, 6 years in the league, because we had so many other guys, then this is his season.
This
This
is
is
100%. Yeah,
a
this has
hundred
worked
percent
out
his
really
season.